Getting started.
Hello and namaskar. On behalf of SchoolNet India, we welcome you all to the fourth episode of Unwind, a webinar series focusing on the teacher's happiness quotient. The board examinations have started, and with it has begun the time of anxiety and stress, not just for the students, but also for the teachers. Students have the pressure of performing well in the exams. Teachers are concerned that their students must not buckle under any undue pressure and they must be able to give their best. Emotions run high for parents as well. In such circumstances, intelligence, especially emotional intelligence, becomes a crucial skill for success. In this episode, our expert is going to talk about the role of emotional expert in improving the mental health. I'm Vagish Jha, and I head the Learning and Development Wing of SchoolNet India.
And I'm Karnika Vyas. Namaste to everyone. I'm associated with SchoolNet India as Digital Learning Officer. Today we have with us our guest speaker, Dr. Nagmani Krishnamurthy ma'am. We welcome you, ma'am, to our webinar series Unwind. But before we tell you about this webinar, let me quickly tell you that SchoolNet India is the pioneering organization in India that was founded 26 years ago to leverage the digital technology for education with a very strong vision and mission to support the tech-enabled learning and democratizing education, not only in India, but other countries abroad as well. So as of now, we are working with more than 40,000 schools that include both government and affordable private schools.
SchoolNet India aims at improving teaching and learning efficiency in the classrooms and helping children in improving their grade-specific learning outcomes by offering a variety of solutions and services. We are committed to the continuous capacity building of teachers as well, because we understand that teachers are the core, they are the fulcrum around which the educational system really hovers around. For teachers, lead the digital transformation to create a more vibrant teaching learning ecosystem. That is why we focus on addressing the emerging concerns of the teachers and school community. With this objective, we have initiated this webinar series, Unwind. It's really heartening to see that today we have teachers, educators, as well as parents joining us from across India. Together, we will undertake a journey of ideas and share views.
Absolutely, sir. And we understand that how crucial exam time is, and so pretty, that's a pretty tough time for the student. So they go through a lot of mental fatigue, and it's absolutely a roller coaster ride of emotions. And emotional intelligence plays a significant role in improving mental health by helping students to understand, regulate, and manage their emotions effectively. It allows them to handle stress, building healthy relationships, and coping with challenges in a more positive way. So furthermore, emotional intelligence also helps individuals to identify and address all those negative emotions which they must be undergoing, at this point of time, dealing with anxiety, depression, anger, which are associated with mental health problems.
Many of you already know that emotional intelligence refers to the ability to perceive, control, and evaluate emotions. Studies have shown that people with high emotional intelligence have greater mental health, better mental health, they perform better in jobs, and they are better leaders as well. To understand the perspective of teachers, we conducted a quick survey with our participants. Very interesting results that have come up. It revealed that 65% of the participants considered lack of focus as one of the primary challenges facing students during exam preparation. Almost 62% of participants confirmed that micromanaging daily studies of students can be a useful strategy to deal with the examination and their efficiency in performance during the examination. But interestingly, 59% of the almost equal number of participants also said that such strategies are useful only to some extent. Very interesting.
Exactly. So we sincerely hope that today's session will help all our participants to internalize the importance of emotional intelligence and ways to manage their emotion. With this positive spirit, let's deep dive into today's discussion, and let me take a wonderful opportunity to welcome our guest of honor and expert of today's session, Dr. Nagmani Krishnamurthy ma'am. Dr. Nagmani Krishnamurthy is an educator, researcher, and trainer, and has been in the field of education in various lead roles for almost 3 decades. Her passion is to nurture positive child development with a focus on emotional and cognitive development. She has developed strategies for nurturing critical thinking, leading to emotional intelligence and resilience. Currently, she is on a mission to spread awareness of the importance of mental health and well-being from early years to teens.
We are really honored to have you with us, ma'am. So without any further ado, let me welcome our expert, Dr. Nagmani, again. Also, I would like to tell you, as always, that we will have your questions and queries addressed by the speaker at the end. So if you have some queries, please write them in the chat box right away. Over to Dr. Nagmani.
Thank you so very much, sir. And thank you very much, Dr. Karnika. It's my pleasure and honor to be sharing my thoughts about how important emotional intelligence is and how it impacts the mental health of students, especially during exam time. And I'm really grateful that you have taken this as a mission in your organization to share strategies and techniques at a crucial time. And that is going to be a very, very beneficial program for all the students, teachers, and parents. Thank you very much. And congratulations for raising this webinar series.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll share the screen from my end, ma'am.
Yes.
And then, yes. Is it visible?
Yes.
Put it on the...
Yes, I'm putting it on the slideshow. Yes.
Right. Thank you very much. A warm welcome to all of you parents. Maybe some students are also here with us, teachers and educators. It's my pleasure to share some of the key strategies which are going to help students perform better during the exams. And this is the very right time because exams have almost started or are going to start now. And I think you've had previous webinars which focused on how to tackle the exams, the various strategies. So today my focus will be on how important it is to support the mental health of students, especially by parents and teachers. And I'll be focusing only on the mental health and emotional intelligence aspect and not on any other aspect. So before I start off with the challenges which students face or parents and teachers face, I would like to just draw your attention to my definition of emotional intelligence and mental health in simple words, because I don't believe in book definitions being applicable to students or a lay person. So what is mental health actually? It's everything incorporating emotional, psychological, and social well-being of the person apart from physical health. So physical health, all of you are aware that the physical fitness and the health of the body is what constitutes physical health. But all other aspects of the emotional well-being or the psychological well-being or the social well-being, all of this will constitute the mental health. Now, how is this connected with emotional intelligence is the question. As soon as I say intelligence, it talks about capabilities. And you are all aware of intelligence quotient or the IQ. Intelligence quotient is the ability of a person to perform in various faculties, and it is performance related. Whereas emotional intelligence or EQ is the ability to understand, use, and manage emotions in a positive way. Why we have to use this in a positive way is the question. If we are not able to, first of all, identify our own emotions and understand them, use them and manage them in positive ways, we will be affected not only mentally, but also physically. So the disorders like stress, anxiety, depression, or any other social challenges which a person faces, or even the physical disorders like back pain, spondylitis, headache, migraine, all these are offshoots of not having good emotional intelligence. So it's important that we have a good balance of physical and mental health so that our overall quality of life is very, very accurate. And when we talk about students, how is the emotional intelligence affecting the mental health is my topic of the day. Could I have the next slide, please? The next one. Yeah. So if you take the mental health of students, it is going to impact their performance at school or college. It could be, it's not only exams I'm talking about, it could be their social skills in the school or college, or it could be the psychological well-being at school or college, or the emotional well-being, along with the academic performance. And most often, especially in our country, we focus on performance, performance, performance. We want students to perform. We want them to get good grades. We want them to show their IQ in exams. But little do we realize that this IQ is backed up by EQ. If we don't have the right EQ, we will not be able to expect students to perform with their IQ. So we need to support their mental health through various strategies so that their IQ will be supported by the right EQ. The second important point which impacts the mental health of students is the stress which students face, not only during exams, otherwise also. If you take a student, especially in 10th grade or 12th grade, the student is under a lot of stress because of the peer pressure, parental pressure, the career pressure, and external pressure from all corners, which expects the child to perform to the maximum ability. Now, when we talk about the pressure which the student is experiencing, it has become a rat race where students are just blindly following a pathway which has been laid down for ages now. Even when I was a student, this rat race was there. And even today, it continues. And this race is against each other and not as a self-improvement race. I believe that we have to focus on self-improvement rather than competing with others. When you compete with others, you are drawing a limit to the abilities which you are going to exhibit. But when you draw a competition to yourself, you are not, you yourself are the limit. And there is no limit for the performance. There is no limit for excelling. And to excel like this, we need to have strategies for managing the stress or managing the pressure which is exerted from all corners during our exam time. What happens when a student is stressed out like this? How much stress is the student experiencing is the question. If you take a student's life for the whole academic year, throughout the year, there will be a lot of stress because the child is expected to perform, right? The key word is perform here. So when the child starts performing for a long duration of time, there is mental fatigue, there is stress, there's anxiety, fear of failure, and all this will result in depression. So we need to take care that the student is going through all this at ease with a calm mind so that his or her mental health is retained. And one other important factor which contributes to the mental health of students is the physical health. It's not going to work if you take care of only mental health. The student has to take care of the physical fitness too. So there should be a strategy for maintaining both physical and mental health in order to excel in any field. Also, nowadays, because of the social media and the gadgets and interaction with screens, we have landed up in a situation where there is lack of opportunities for face-to-face social relationships. And that will also impact the mental health of students. So with all these in mind, let us see what are the challenges which a student faces during exam preparation. I'm not taking you through the year, I'm just coming to the exam time and what is the challenges which are faced by the students. Of course, the teachers and parents will tell me that they face a lot of challenge, but first of all, I would like to focus my attention on the challenges faced by the students during exam preparation. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's the one. So the first point is the self-esteem. It could be low self-esteem or high self-esteem. Both are equally dangerous because there should be a balance of what one feels about oneself, and there should be a realistic estimation of what one is capable of. Either extremes, either low self-esteem or high self-esteem, will land up the student in a difficult situation. Similarly, a low confidence or high confidence will also matter a lot during the exam time, when the students will feel either low or high depending on whether they have low confidence or high confidence. And one very frequent factor is the fear of failure. Every student thinks that what if I do not get 100%? It's not only the students who are trying to just pass the exam, it is also with the students who are high scorers. They also feel that if I am not able to get 100%, what next? I may not be able to get into XYZ career. That's the fear of failure. Or a student who is just trying to pass, he has the fear of failing in the exam. So what happens if I don't pass the exam? That's the kind of fear the students will have. And then some students will face false or overconfidence. They just pretend to have that confidence, or they're overconfident saying that I will be able to manage somehow. That somehow is not going to be um, a, a pathway to success, because we all know that logical thinking and logical systematic way of approaching a problem will definitely help us in reaching our goals. Instead, if we are just saying that somehow we will manage, we will not be able to reach the destination as expected. The next point is the anxiety, which leads to memory loss. When a student is anxious, there will be sudden memory loss, and while writing the exam, there will be no way the student will be able to recollect what he or she has studied. So all the effort which has gone in throughout the year will be useless at the time of exam if the student is anxious. So teachers and parents have to pay attention not to have the students anxious during exams. And then the last one is the stress leading to confusion or blanking out. Some students, they just come out of the exam hall and they'll say, I don't know, my mind went blank, I was not able to recollect anything. I had studied everything and I knew the answers for every question, but I was unable to write because nothing came to my mind. I was blank, totally blank. Or instead of writing the correct answer, they will get confused and write the wrong answer for a question. And this happens not because they are lacking focus, not because they are lacking effort, it's because of the stress which they are going through. And then this stress is such an amazing factor that it will have an impact on the physical health too. So the child may suddenly fall sick on the day of the exam. They can experience vomiting, diarrhea, headache, fever, anything at all, which will not permit them to attend the exams. So why the child is not interested in attending the exam is the question. It is because of fear of failure. So the root cause is not lack of effort all the time. I'm not saying that lack of effort is not a factor, but we have to be logical in analyzing whether it is really the student's lack of effort or is it stress related? So that's where I wanted to just share what are the challenges which the students face during exam. So these are some of the factors which I wanted to mention. And what do the parents and teachers do in the end is quite interesting. This I'm not just sharing from anywhere. It is with my experience I'm sharing this. Okay. And I see that they escalate the pressure on the students as the exams approach. That's because they are having that anxiety of whether the child will perform or not, and they increase the pressure on the students. They will start telling them that you need to do well, you need to be healthy, you can't fall sick right now because it's exam time. You can't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things, right? And you have to stay focused, you have to get everything back in your memory, and you have to perform in the exam. So the amount of pressure which the students have to perform is very, very high. And both parents and teachers, as they would have seen the student for the whole length of the academic year, they have high expectations about the student's performance. Whether it is a high scorer or a low scorer, they do have very high expectations about their performance. So in turn, when they communicate with the students as a parent or as a teacher, they use certain statements, certain phrases, which brings down the morale of the students. It's not intentional. I'm not against any of you parents or teachers. Like, kindly excuse me if I'm coming across like that. But the fact is, unknowingly, inadvertently, you are going to say certain phrases and sentences which is going to cause or raise anxiety, stress, and which is going to bring down the morale of the students. And suddenly, both teachers and parents, they will micromanage the studies in the last minute. So the last 1 month in any school will be full of revisions, etc., etc. And they'll just say, you have to do 1, 2, 3 things in this order only. You have to be very systematic. You have to have a timetable. You have to schedule everything. And the same applies to the parents. The parents are also going to do the same thing to the student. So the student is devastated with all this micromanagement. I request the parents and teachers to just visualize if somebody micromanages your life, how it would be, right? We don't like it. We cannot perform or we cannot express our skills to the maximum ability if we are micromanaged by somebody else. But we do it to our children as parents and teachers. And they also expect students to be accountable for every action of theirs. If they watch television for 1 hour, they are accountable. If they do not study for 2 hours, they are accountable. If they study for 4 hours, they are accountable. What did you study? How did you study? Why did you not study the other subject? Why did you not focus on the important questions? All these are part of what parents and teachers normally do. I hope that most of you are not doing it, but if you are doing it, I think that's where I wanted to talk about what it impacts, how it impacts the students. And what do students actually need is the question during exam time. They need, first of all, they need compassion, because they have experienced a lot of stress, like I mentioned. They have gone through a lot, they have put their effort, and now they're entering the battlefield of the examination. So now they expect some amount of compassion from both parents and teachers. They want you to empathize with them and understand what they are going through instead of just giving them instructions. And they require a person, whether you are a parent or a teacher or both of you, can mentor them and tell them exactly how they need to handle their situation, instead of, and supporting them through the whole process, instead of instructing them with what you feel is the right thing. What works for me may not work for you. And as a parent, what worked for me, I may share it with you, but you need to tweak it and do it with your child. What works for me as a teacher, the technique may be wonderful, but it need not work for other teachers. They have to tweak it, they have to use their creativity, and they have to differentiate it to suit the needs of their students and serve them. That's what I meant by mentoring. And one important aspect with um, dealing with students, especially by the teachers, is students should be have given the reality about themselves and the exams. Let us not paint a rosy picture, or let us not paint a very bleak picture for the students. If they are able to assess themselves correctly, and if they are able to assess what the exam is purporting to assess, then I think they will be able to perform better, because they know what's going to happen really, instead of imagining either a bleak or a rosy picture. So this can happen when two techniques are taught to the students. One is how they are able to assess themselves when they are performing in an examination. Many times, I think especially I'm talking about 10th standard and the 12th standard students, after the board exams, the students will come out and they'll come home and say they have done extremely well. When the results are out, they will say, I don't know, the valuation went wrong and I got less marks. I had expected 95%, I only got 85%. Or I had expected 98%, I got only 90%. Why does this happen? Is the valuation really so bad? Are we as teachers not evaluating our students properly when we evaluate them for the board exams? Or is there something missing in our system? I feel most often students do not know how to assess themselves. So what happens is their self-assessment technique is not in place, and therefore they will just assess a higher percentage. And when the results come, they tend to blame others, right? So they also need some self-management strategies which are going to help them in planning and executing during the exams. These are all some of the needs which I have mentioned. There could be many more which the students will be needing, but the basic needs are some of these. So what you are supposed to do, what are you supposed to do as a parent or as a teacher? How you can help the students to achieve success and also perform better or get the best out of themselves is what I'm going to talk about next. The number one factor is the emotional intelligence is not something which you have to build at the time of the examination. It should be built right from early childhood, but let us not go there. Students are all across this grades. So let us say from the beginning of the year, we are going to progressively help them build their emotional intelligence. Then what happens to their mental health? This emotional intelligence which is building up will help them to nurture positive mental health. And along with that, along with building emotional intelligence, you should give them the environment which nurtures positive mental health. And what the child expects is consistency from both parents and teachers. When a child is experiencing consistency, what I mean by it is sometimes, I have been with parents and teachers for almost 32 years now. And whenever I ask them some questions, they are all giving conditional support. You know, see, I stand by my child, but, when I say but, that means it's conditional. If I say I stand by my child, I stand by my child. That's it. There's no ifs and buts there. That's what I mean by unconditional support. So when you say I stand by you if you do 1, 2, 3 things, then you're not standing by the child. It may be looking like a grammatical sentence, but it's not. It is a psychological and emotional sentence which you're giving the child. When the child listens to you, the child will think, okay, my mother will support me when I perform well. If I don't perform well, she's not going to be there with me. My teacher supports me when I'm good at studies. She is not going to be there when I'm not good at studies. So how does this impact the child's life? The child will not ask for support in academics because the child thinks you are not there for the child when the child needs you, right? So we have to be very consistent in supporting the child irrespective of what the child is going through. A child may be going through a bad phase socially, emotionally, psychologically, academically, any which way, but we have to give them the support. For doing that, I think we should be mentally sound. We should have positive mental health. Only then we can appreciate the emotions and the feelings of the others, and we will be able to deal with them in a better manner and help the students, whether it is our child or students at school or college. So what we need to think of is strategies to maintain our own mental health first, and give the strategies to the students so that they are able to have a well-balanced mental health. Now, you may be thinking that all the time we cannot support the child as a parent or as a teacher. I don't have that kind of mental energy to support my child all through. I'm not expecting you to. You need not do that. What you are supposed to do is you have to teach them self-management. When you teach them self-management, what happens is they learn how to manage themselves, whether it is academics or otherwise, whether it is a social skill or an emotional disturbance which they are going through. We should be providing them with self-management strategies which will help them to manage themselves and not need any external support. And it does not require all your energy to do this. It requires only simple strategies and techniques, which will help not only the students, but also you as a parent or a teacher. Who doesn't want a child who is studying on his own or on her own, right? If a child is following a timetable, is accountable for his or her own activities, academic or otherwise, if the student is able to manage all the disturbances which are caused emotionally or psychologically on his or her own, what more do you want as a parent or a teacher? That's the best gift you can get, isn't it? So you have to, who is responsible for building such personalities is the question. The persons who are responsible for building this is no other than parents and teachers. If both of us support them and encourage them to manage themselves, definitely they will learn all the skills for managing themselves in various situations, and they become accountable for their own circumstances, and they know the way out also, right? So let us see what strategies we can use to support students' mental health. I think the first important aspect which students lack nowadays is the face-to-face social interactions. I tell this because they lack the strong friendships and bonding which earlier generations used to have because of the gadgets, because of the social media. They think that they can interact on social media platforms and they can talk over social media, and they don't get connected with humans. They get connected with screens and gadgets. So they are very comfortable chatting, but they're not comfortable talking to a person directly. And what are they losing because of this? the number of issues which you can discuss or which you can address when you meet a person face to face is voluminous compared to what you can do as a chat. So if you take the social media itself, social media is used and misused to a great extent, right? When somebody posts something on social media, we want to make it look good. Whether I'm happy or not, I'm going to smile and I'm going to post a picture with my smiling face. What is happening internally is my problem. I'm not sharing it with anybody else on the social media. But here, what I'm talking about is when I face a problem, when I am depressed, when I'm upset, when I have an issue which has to be resolved, I cannot put a smiling face. Can I? Can anyone be happy or project themselves to be happy when they're going through depression? No, they cannot. That can happen only in face to face interaction. When you meet somebody personally, you can physically see the depression or the sadness or the perturbance in the face of the other person, which will make us to understand what they're going through. And people will vibe with that expression and body language and ask you more questions to delve deeper into the situation which you're facing, and you are going to come out of your situation because the other person will try to dig deeper and find out what exactly is your problem, suggest some solutions, or stay with you if you need. Can social media do this? No. And that is where social interactions and building strong friendships, where students are able to share their difficult situations, share what they're going through with each other, is going to help. You may say that you interact with your parents, with elders, and you're taking advice from them, but there is nothing like peer friendship. Somebody who is of your age understands your problems better than anybody who is older than you, because now a generation gap is achieved with only 5 to 6 years of difference between two people. It's not like before, where a 10-year gap or a 15-year gap used to show the generation gap. But now, even a 5-year difference between two people, there's a vast difference between the way they think, they approach problems, and they lead life. That is why it is important for students to build relationship with their peers, and parents and teachers have to encourage this, encourage discussion among the students, and encourage building strong relationships so that they have each other when the time of need is existing. All right. And when you want a student to achieve success, a disciplined life is a must. So if you want them to get disciplined only in 10th standard, only in 12th standard, it doesn't work. You have to incorporate discipline not only for academics, but for all aspects of life. And if that discipline is incorporated in the student's life, it is automatically going to impact their academics, and they will be more disciplined in studying, more disciplined in planning and executing that plan. To execute all of this, they need to be physically fit. I'm sure you would have come across many mindfulness strategies or yoga, etc., for supporting mental health. But let me ask you a question. If you take a person who is in depression, or if you take a person who is very perturbed, they will be unable to focus on meditation. They will not be able to come to the state of meditation. What do we do in such situations? Is there no solution for these people? Is the question. What we need to do is we need to encourage them to have a schedule for their physical fitness early in the morning, which increases their energy levels and which boosts their spirit. throughout the day. So a must activity in the morning is either a sport like badminton, tennis, or cricket, anything which the child would like to do, or a workout which will help them to keep physically fit and which will give them enough energy to continue for the whole length of the day. So the early morning activity is going to orient the students towards a positive attitude for the entire day. And this activity does not require anybody's help. They can do it on their own. When they do it on their own, two things happen. One, they become disciplined because they have to get up early in the morning since it is making them to feel good. Two, for the entire day, they will remain active and energetic if they stick on to the schedule of physical fitness regime in the morning. So when you have the students going through a disciplined life like this, we also need to focus on a commitment to self-improvement. Why is this so important? You have come across students of all kinds in your teaching experience, and you may have seen that some students are really committed to getting more and more percentage every test or every exam, and they achieve better. By the end of the year, their target will be reached. But that percentage of students who are committed to self-improvement is very, very less, maybe less than 5%. All others, they may not be consistent in their performance. Sometimes they do well, sometimes they do badly, and they console themselves that there was a situation which I could not, which prevented me from performing better, and they convince themselves and the others that they were not able to perform. So what is the trick which we have to teach the students? If the student is made to commit towards himself or herself, that's the best commitment one can do. Who is the most important person in your life? Who is the most important person in your life? If I ask a question, you may be thinking a little, or you might not have thought about it. Or you may think now and tell me, my father, my mother, my child, anybody. But the most important person in your life is you, right? So the commitment should be to you, not to somebody else. If students are made to commit to themselves and not to you as a parent or a teacher, then they are answerable to themselves. They are not answerable to you. The one very big blunder which the parents and teachers do is they steal the responsibility from the child. They take it on themselves. If my child fails second PUC exam, it's my failure. No, it's not. It's not. If my child fails in a competitive exam, it's my failure. No. Why did this happen? It's because I took away the responsibility from the child to me. And the child did not take the responsibility. That is where the missing link is. The child is not accountable to himself or herself, but it is accountable to me as a parent or a teacher, or both. Okay. And this is why we need to make them commit to themselves, be accountable to themselves. Point one. The second point is they need to be able to identify what they are experiencing and they need to communicate the same. So, for example, let us take a student who has studied extremely well, who has performed extremely well for the entire year, and the child is taking the final exams. At that point of time, because of over studying or because of all the hard work which the student has put in for the entire year, the student will start getting a self-doubt whether the student, whether he or she will be able to perform as well as he has done for the entire year in the final exam, because this is going to be the final witness of all the hard work which he has done for the whole year. Now, if the student is not able to identify the anxiety or the fear of failure in himself or herself and communicate the same to the parents or teachers, the child will not perform to the best of his ability in the exam. I hope I have articulated the fact properly, right? So we need to teach the students how to identify their emotions and how to communicate at the right time to the right person, so that they are able to overcome the negative emotions. They are able to uh, overcome the negative emotions at the right time and deal with the situation in a better manner. That is why we need to teach them identification and communication of emotions right from the beginning, not in the end, not only when they require it. And last but not the least is the mindfulness. What do we mean by mindfulness? There is a lot of information on mindfulness, but I want to put it very simply, saying that if you are mindful of what you're doing, then you will be good to go anywhere in life. What do you mean by this? I need to pay attention to what I am doing right now. I'm having a webinar right now. I'm talking to you people regarding mental health of students. Nothing else should bother me right now. I have to be mindful of what I'm sharing with you as an expert in emotional intelligence. That's it. I cannot think of anything else. If I think of anything else, I'm not mindful. I do not have the presence of mind. I'm not present to this situation. And don't you think we all see students not being mindful about what they're doing, right? Especially during their teenage, they are not mindful of what they're doing. So we need to give them strategies to help them identify how to be mindful in a particular situation. It could be any situation. Please do not restrict yourself only to academic situations. Academics is only part of life in a student's life. If all other things are taken care of, academics will definitely fall into place. If there is a mess created in all other aspects, academics will fail, irrespective of how much the effort the student takes or the parent or teacher takes. It will not work. Therefore, you need to make them become mindful of all the activities which they execute in their life, in their daily life. So let us see some techniques which are going to help the students in planning and executing so that they achieve their goals. So as I already told you, the one very important factor which enables a person to get the best out of himself or herself is the awareness about oneself. A student should be made to get involved in activities like interest inventory or assessments which help them to find out more about their personality and interest and abilities in various ways, so that they know what they're capable of doing, what they're interested in doing, and what they're not capable of doing. There's no point in teaching a child mathematics when he has least interest in mathematics. You may question me that it's a compulsory subject in both in 10th standard. I agree, but the child will not be able to perform more than what he can, and it may not be as much as you expect. So this self-awareness activity is going to not only help the student, but also gives a perspective to both parents and teachers as to what they need to do with the students. If they are very good in language skills, if they are very good in science activities, We can encourage them to get more marks in those subjects and participate more in those activities, and do the minimum in mathematics, do the minimum in the subject where they are not interested in or they are not capable of doing it. So when you come to ability, if they are not able to do it, you also will know why they are not able to do it, why they are not having an ability to perform well in mathematics. This will lead us to tweaking our teaching technology to help the student learn the skills which will enhance their abilities. I'm not saying you give up on the student. Identify what is the difficulty the student is facing and appropriately train them so that their abilities will enhance. So, two aspects in self awareness. One, it's going to not only enlighten the students about their own abilities or interests or their personality, which needs to be appropriately used to enhance their abilities. And second is, parents or teachers will exactly know what to expect from the students. Do not have high expectations higher than what the child is capable of. It is not a race. It is not a race with other students. It is just a pathway for your child to achieve the best that the child can, not what you expect or not what others are achieving. Instead, you focus on one single individual child. Whether you're a parent or a teacher, you need to do this. As teachers, we have 20 to 40 students in the class, but still differentiated instruction and differentiating the way we deal with students' needs will help us to achieve this. There is no difficulty. The second point is collaborative goal setting. As I already touched upon this point, I said we steal the responsibility from the students and take it on ourselves. Let us not do that. Let us have a partnership with our child, whether it is as a parent or a teacher. You can have a partnership and come to an agreement that together we are going to set a goal, not for me, but for the child. So, who should be setting the goal? Is it your life? Is it your examination which you are achieving? Or is it the child's? It's the child's. The child is going to write the exam. The child is going to study for the exam. The child is going to execute the plan. The child is going to face the difficulties. So, how do you take control of all of this and put it as your plan, your execution, your micromanagement, etc.? Everything is yours. The child is not a machine. Child is a human being and capable of thinking. So we need to collaborate with the child, make the child to think for himself or herself, plan, set a goal, execute it, face problems, share the problems with parents and teachers, rule out all the possibilities of failure by learning techniques, by improving their abilities, learning the skills for examination and studies, and reaching the goal. It is not going to be a single sided agreement between the parent and child or the teacher and the child, where I dictate the terms and the student has to follow it. That's how it is right now. But it's not going to work because the child is the executor here. It's not we. If the child is the executor, the child has to understand why he or she is executing and what he or she is trying to achieve by executing all of this. I give a simple analogy here. If we want to go to a particular destination, each one of us will take different paths, right? Do we all take the same path, same vehicle to reach the destination? We don't. We use different paths, different vehicles, and different time intervals to reach the destination. But we still reach the destination. What is important? Is the path important or the destination important? Is the question. For me, the child reaching the goal, which he or she has drafted for himself or herself, is important. The path which the child takes is not important. We as parents and teachers are only here to make this path easier for them, not make it difficult for them. That is why we have to have a collaborative partnership with our children so that the child derives the pathway to its goal on his or her own, not your goal. It's the child's goal, not your pathway. It's the child's pathway. But as parents and teachers, we need to give unconditional support, saying that whatever pathway you choose, I'm here for you, my child. I'm going to give you the strategies. I'm going to give you the techniques to make your life easier and achieve success. So now the entire scenario changes. Why? Because the child is confident that there is someone with me who is going to support me in whatever I do. There's no ifs and buts here. The child is also confident because he or she has drafted this pathway. It's not somebody's pathway. Suppose you want to prepare a dish, you follow a recipe, but do you follow everything of it? No. You tweak it, you alter it, modify it to suit your own needs. Just like that, the child has a guidance from parents and teachers to reach its goal, but the pathway it chooses, there is some little modification which the child chooses. And it is the responsibility of parents and teachers to support the child unconditionally in that pathway. And when they are going in this pathway, they should be taught to reflect on what they have done, not at the end of the year, on a daily basis. If the student reflects on a particular day's activities, and if, let us say, he himself has planned 5 tasks and he was able to achieve only 3 tasks out of that, if he reflects, he will know that he has missed out on 2. If he reflects well, he knows that he has achieved 3 out of 5, right? If he reflects some more, he will know why he was not able to achieve the other 2. And if we teach them how to evaluate why they were not able to do it, then the process gets completed. Reflection and evaluation will make them understand why something is working, why something is not working. What is it that distracts me? What is it that puts me away from my schedule? What is it that I can do to stay focused on my tasks for the day? And if they do it on a daily basis, they will not go very far away from their plan. They will always be with their plan. They will always stay focused with their goal, and they will stick to their pathway. And if we help them to set the goal for themselves, and if we break up that pathway into small goals and help them to achieve these small goals throughout the year, there will be no difficulty in achieving success at the end of the year. Of course, these are only few techniques which I shared with all of you. There could be many more, but I am really happy to see the results of the survey, because this is what I expected and this is what was visible in the survey. So the first point is lack of focus during exams. 65% of them said that the students lack focus during exam time. And as I mentioned throughout this session, it is not because of lack of effort, which 57% of the people have said that all this is because they are not putting enough effort. No, it's not. It is because of the anxiety, because of all the mental health issues which they have, because of all the stress which they are experiencing, they just give up at the end of the year and say that it's okay, I can't take it anymore. Because they've gone through it for a whole year, they are not able to take it up anymore. And the worst thing one can do is micromanagement. And that's why 62% of them, though they said micromanaging will help, what did 59% say? It's only helpful to a certain extent. It doesn't. Why it doesn't? I'm sure you have understood in my session. It doesn't because it is not your life, it's not your studies, it's not your goal. It is a child's goal and the child's pathway and the child's study plan. And therefore, we should not be micromanaging, especially during the exam time. Just allow them to manage themselves, because you would have taught them self-management throughout the year, and they should be able to manage themselves at the end of the year and achieve success and get the best out of themselves. I hope you have got some positive points, techniques to deal with the students' stress and anxiety during exam time. And I'm open for questions now.
Thank
Karnika,
you.
can you please?
Thank you, Dr. Krishnamurthy. It was a very, very clear, lucid, and meaningful session, I am sure. All the
Thank you,
teachers would say so. We
Thank
have
you.
right now more than 200 teachers and educators present with us. And there are some very, very interesting questions that have also come up. But one thing that I would like to highlight before I go to the questions is that what you said and what I heard about is that we have to trust these students.
Yes.
And that the lack of trust is going to such ludicrous heights that when a student is achieving 95% marks, the teacher or the parents would not appreciate that 95%, but they would ask 5% kidhar gaya? Where is that? Where is that 5% that was
True.
missing? So
True.
what they have not got is highlighted, and not they don't appreciate, and we don't appreciate what they have achieved, what they have done.
Yes.
So that is a very important thing. When you repose trust in students, sometimes your trust may not come true, but
yes.
But that trust itself will make them responsible, and they will like to come back, and they will respond. Trust is like a seed. You
Yes.
sow one and it grows into hundreds and thousands of it.
It grows into a banyan tree.
It grows into a banyan tree, absolutely. So the teachers, as I am excited, my teachers are excited, and they have fielded several questions. I am taking first two questions, and I will request Karnika to go talk about the rest of them. So Dr. Suresh Kumar Mishra, right in the beginning, even before you started, he asked a question, ma'am, how is yoga and meditation helpful in improving the mental health of the students during the exam? And another question, different question, is that from Rajeshwari, that there is a need to handle the mental anxiety of parents, which in turn impacts their ward's confidence and performance. It acts as a limiting factor. How to tackle this? This means the mental anxiety of parents.
Yes, I got it.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And in the
I
meanwhile,
would like
I request participants to write their questions. We are going to take all the questions one by one. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Thank you, sir. So the very first question, how the yoga and mental health, yoga and meditation is going to help the students.
Yes.
If the techniques are taught as part of their daily life, and if they are continuing with it during the exam time, it definitely works wonderfully well. But if we see the students in a stressful situation and we try to ask them to do yoga and meditation, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. That is why I said in my list of strategies, the first thing is physical fitness or any activity which boosts the energy and puts the positive attitude in a child's life right in the morning. So suppose the child gets up at 6 o'clock and does yoga or meditation, definitely it is going to impact the life of the child for the whole day and for the whole year. So it should be taken as part of life rather than as a strategy during examination time. That's my suggestion. And the second question, I think parental.
Can I add one
tell me.
thing? You
Yes.
you already also mentioned about the mindfulness, and
Yes.
mindfulness is a part of that yogic exercise, which is quite
Right.
popular and kind of new for the students. They resonate very well with that.
Yes.
So it's not always difficult asanas that students are asked to do, or
No.
do meditation in a kind of the sadhus do in the Himalayas.
Yes.
But very,
Yes.
very interesting practical ways of doing it will help.
Correct.
The point that you are making is that it has to be a sustained practice. It cannot be taken as aspirin. When you have a headache, you take a aspirin and you get rid of it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You put it in the right way. Yeah. The second question, I think, is regarding the parental anxiety.
Yes.
Um, as a parent, I'm not a perfect parent. I have not achieved 100% marks in my PUC or 10th standard, but I expect my child to do it. There are two factors in this expectation. One is heredity. You have to think about it. If I'm not intelligent, my child definitely will not be intelligent. There are possibilities that the child may not be capable of doing it to the extent which I'm expecting the child to perform. That's point one. Point two, like I said, mental health of parents and teachers will definitely impact the mental health of students. And therefore, we should, as teachers, I think we can collaborate with the parents. This is what I used to do. And teach them strategies, ways of maintaining their own anxiety levels and helping them to support the positive attitude and mental health of children at home. If teachers and parents do not collaborate, then there's going to be a disconnect between the school or college and the home. And this is going to impact the student's life. Therefore, I suggest, it's a suggestion for the teachers to take control of the situation and interact with the parents, give them some sessions on how important is their mental well-being, which will impact the child's mental well-being, not during the exam time again. It is a sustained practice which they have to do right from early years, right from when the child is born. From then on, it has to be cultivated and it has to be nurtured throughout life. That's the only way we can handle this situation, and there is no other way which will help them to overcome their anxiety. Like sir rightly mentioned, we cannot give it as an aspirin.
Yes.
Anxiety management for parents also cannot be given as an aspirin. They have to be well balanced throughout their life in all activities.
Yes. And two cents from me once again on this issue is that during this COVID, one of the major learning gains has been that parents are very important partners in the educational practices.
Right.
They cannot just send their students and get rid of their problem. Now it is
Yes.
teachers' problem that the students have to go about it. This is one.
Yes.
And
Yes.
two, that I have seen as a parent myself, is that we have the tendency of looking at students as the beast of burden who has to carry out all the failed aspirations of the parents and realize them without even realizing that, say, for example, I may not have been able to crack UPSC or medical or engineering, but then there are so many new career options that are available.
Yes.
So
Yes.
looking back into their own failed aspiration and imposing them to the students is the worst thing that they can do. They can
Yes.
allow them to explore their own new emerging world, which has very many possibilities that we don't even imagine. Even now, it's difficult for us to imagine the kind of ability, the kind of fields that are coming up.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Spot on. Yeah.
so that
In the
parents'
same,
education is very important. Yes, Karnika, come in.
yeah, in the same context, ma'am, a few more questions are there where Fatima ma'am is trying to ask, how can a student manage the stress which arises due to self expectations? So your take on this, ma'am. And another question is, please guide how to manage well the poor, average, and extraordinary students simultaneously in a combined way with full of enthusiasm.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go to the first one where they are talking about self-expectation. This is where I talked about self-evaluation. If you go back to my session,
Yes,
I just
yes.
talked about self-evaluation, and that assessment itself will help them to not expect too much out of themselves. They know where exactly they stand. So it's very important for students to go through this process of self-awareness and self-evaluation so that they understand where their interests are, what their abilities are, what to expect out of themselves, where they lack skills and how they can enhance their skills. All these will not lead to over expectation. I hope I have answered the question. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And yeah. And the second one is uh, can you come again
How
with
to manage well the poor, average, and extraordinary
okay,
students
right,
simultaneously. Which is, yeah.
right. So this is a differentiated learning situation, teaching learning
Right.
situation. So in any classroom, we have the students falling under the normal probability curve. We have all kinds of students. Most of them will fall under the average, but some of them will be poor and some of them will be above average. But my instruction as a teacher should cater to all of them. The poor students will need my attention. The above average students will need stimulation to think and act. The average students, they'll manage because most of the students are in the middle of the parabola. So what a teacher needs to do is spend more time with the poor achievers, give a difficult task for the high achievers, and teach the average. I have put it simply in one sentence.
Yeah, that is a very wonderful
All
thing.
right.
I mean, spend more time with the poor achievers, give difficult tasks to the higher achievers, and teach to the average achievers. Absolutely, ma'am.
Rajeshwari ma'am has another question. It's
Yes.
more like a comment. She says that, and we have already taken one question from her, so I'm going to read it out. But the system now is highly marks oriented.
Yes.
Management, most of the teachers and parents only run behind marks. This kind of practice shared by you in your session is possible only by all our coordinated effort. When only one of us thinks of students and other thinks of marks, it will be really difficult for us to bring such a system to practice. Very rightly so.
Yes, it's a pertinent point. I agree, Madam Rajeshwari.
Yes.
But I think slowly our school system is getting oriented towards focusing on the child rather than the new education policy is also focusing on the child than on the marks. And I hope things will be better off in the coming years. That's all I
Yes.
can say.
Yes. Vinod Kumar Gupta has an interesting question.
Yeah.
What techniques and methods should parents use for not taking the responsibility?
It's
This would be my question too,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry. I'm sorry, parents. You cannot shy away from your responsibilities. Don't shy away from your responsibility. That's not the way to put that question. You may be asking me how to reduce your burden. You're not shying away from your responsibility. You want to reduce your burden. That is where I talked about collaborative partnership. So when the child is very small, in fact, when they are in the primary school, it's a very good idea to have agreements, small agreements. For this week, I will do so and so. Both of you will sit and the child will write. See, when you're writing the agreement, the parent should not write the agreement because it is from you. The child will have a different language, different orientation for that agreement. Let the child make that agreement and let the child sign first. And then you are signing to show that you're going to support that unconditionally. No ifs and buts. Then you will nurture a very responsible person in your child and the child will not need your support when the child grows up. Definitely, this is a live experience I have with my own child. That's why I'm telling you confidently that it's going to work.
I'm
See,
quickly adding one question, which is same about the parents' attitude. Mr. MD Jargar has asked that the parental expectations determine parents' attitudes and also students towards their studies. How to grow the parents, which will have the effect on student also. I think you have already
Yeah,
responded to it, but if you want to say something.
yeah. See, I think we need to have parenting sessions more than children sessions. This is my experience for the past 3 decades, because it's not the child which requires some additional support and help. It's the parents who need extra support and extra strategies and the right way of dealing with their own children. It is not a war which you're going through with your child. You have to enjoy the childhood of your child, enjoy watching them grow up. We all fell down and we got up and we walked, right? Your child is also going to do the same thing. The child has to learn certain lessons through his or her own mistakes, not from what you teach. Definitely, everything cannot be learned from the textbooks or from somebody. It has to be experienced by the child. So sometimes we have to let them experience it and fail, and then get up and learn from the failures and succeed. That's just simple. It's very simple, that you have to allow the child to grow up. We are not allowing them to grow up.
And you also have to probably realize that a skilled player like Messi
Yeah.
can miss a penalty shootout.
Yes,
It is possible, right? No.
it is possible. Yes.
So
Right point, sir. I'm enjoying the conversation with you. Thank you very much.
one
Karnika,
last question is about during exam performance, like despite a well preparation, good students get panic after getting the question paper. Ma'am, what should I suggest them, or how will I help them? Is the
Yeah,
question
I
being
think
asked? Yeah.
I think I talked about it.
Namita Patra has asked this question.
Okay, I think I already talked about it, but still I will tell again. And now that we are in the exam time, I think I need to focus on what can be done right now. So in the given short period of time from now to the exams, I think there is a lot of positive conversation which you as parent or teacher should have with your child, and encourage them to retain their confidence before going for the exam. Ask them to remain calm and don't force them your schedule of studying during the exams. Please let them be. They have studied so much, and this child especially is a high performer, as is written in the question. So everything is known by the child, but if you put pressure, they will panic and they'll forget how to answer. If you help them to relax during the exams, definitely that child will perform well.
So that answers the question of Malini Nanaya ma'am also, who asked that madam said it is necessary to follow for the student to follow structured study time. How to bring this structure in them? How to bring them bring from the child perspective when child is or child always wants to play or enjoy free time.
Yeah, during the exam time, you allow the child to play. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because the child has studied for the whole year. The day before, if the child wants to watch a movie, it's fine. It's fine. It's not the one day preparation which is helping the student to achieve success. It's the year-long preparation which is going to help him. So if you're sure of the preparation which he has done for the entire year, the previous day is not a matter.
I one personal anecdote that my father used to snatch away the books and
Books.
notes from me. Not going to help
Nagmani
you
ma'am,
at
it
all.
is always, yeah, he's back. Back. Yes, sir. You were saying something, your screen got frozen in between.
Yeah.
I was telling that my father used to snatch away my books and notes on the previous night of the examination. He said that if you have studied for the whole year, if that is not, you can't be confident of that. The last night's slogging is not going to change your fate. to enjoy.
Absolutely. You're lucky to have a father like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I second that. So I guess this ends up all our questions from the chat box. So
No, there are a few more questions. There is
is it? Is
Dharam
it? I cannot
Dharam
see.
Dharam Raj Yadav ji is asking. So I'm going to quickly read three last questions. Dharam
Okay.
Raj Yadav says moral and spiritual lessons from firm dedication towards their future goal may withdraw the psychological health of the students. We should also try to explain what might be the consequences of emotional and psychological suffering of students. What is the emotional weakness? We should also explain a student must teach the lesson of respect and honor, self-honest. That is, Dharam Raj Yadav ji says, I would say that you model all these things in yourself and students will learn.
Yes.
Fatima Lokhandwala is saying that thank you for the question as well as answer. This was an amazing session. Would like to attend more of such sessions. Thank you,
That's
Fatima.
lovely.
Thank you, Fatima. Kailash Chaudhary says the students are very weak for study. Teacher which do it. I'm sorry, I'm not able to make sense of this sentence, Kailash ji. If you can rewrite the question. Somebody is asking, as teachers, how can I motivate parents to participate in the mental well-being of their children?
Again, I come back to collaborative partnership.
Yes.
Just like I talked about partnership with the child, you can have partnership with the parents, and that is what is going to help you as well as the parent and the students.
So, Meenu Kaliaji, ma'am, you must have received your answer, very simple, lucid answer. She has spoken about it in response to earlier questions also. So with that, we come to the end of these questions. And here is the time for us to propose the vote of thanks, Dr. Krishnamurthy. It was a phenomenal session. And
Thank you, sir.
all the teachers, the kind of questions that they asked, that was also so much on the spot. They were really asking important questions that they felt was very useful. Karnika, last words to come from you. Deepti has asked, sorry. Just quickly, I will read. Deepti has last minute. I really want to implement these ideas shared by Krishnamurthy ma'am in my class, but the only challenge is that we are bound with completion of syllabus and it is little difficult to go ahead with the strength of 120 students. I want to encourage each and every student. They are so good. How do I go about? I want to balance my own mental health, absolutely, and doing activity. The Farid Salu says it was a power-packed session. Thank you, ma'am. Vinod Gupta says thank you, amazing session. And now everybody is they are thanking you. So I want request Karnika to say a final words of thanks.
Yeah, so to me, I mean, I am saying it from my personal perspective. It is always heartening to listen Nagmani ma'am. She has such a gracious personality with a with a soothing word, with a soothing tone, that it is always so heartening to listen to her. So that was absolutely power packed session, ma'am. As I am in cognizant, I am in agreement with what all the teachers are sharing in the chat box right now. So thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out some time for us from your precious, from your schedule, from your tight schedule, and thank you for being with us. We really look forward to hear many more sessions, many more thought-provoking session around this topic in the coming months, I'm sorry. And also teachers, Fatima ma'am, please keep looking on our website, that is schoolnetindia.com, where we keep on posting the links of all the webinars which we are conducting on monthly basis. Also, my colleague will be posting, Dharam will be posting a WhatsApp link where we have a teachers group, a focused teacher group, which we have intentionally created it in order to understand teachers' perspective, in order to listen to them, in order to create a safe environment so that each teacher can be heard. So you can join this link, tap on the link and can join the WhatsApp group if anyone of you want. So that's all from our end. Once again, a very Heartful thanks to you, Nagmani ma'am. We really appreciate your kindness to be with all of us. And last but not least, I am sure teachers must be anxious to know about their certificates. Teachers, you will be getting your participation certificate by this Monday, by the end of Monday in the next week. So be with us, join the group, and be the part be the part of the conversation which we keep on going on a weekly basis. Yeah, so thanks a lot, ma'am.
I hope you can.
Thanks a lot,
I hope you can.
teacher.
You can
Yeah.
access your. You can access your chat where Dharam has shared the WhatsApp
I
group.
cannot.
No,
Yeah.
I'm telling my teachers, and
Mhm.
this is what we are trying to do, to create a community of practice, and where each one of us can share our own experiences. You yourself is a storehouse of great experience. So let's come together and create a co-learning space. That is what Karnika is telling. Thank you so much, and I hope that you will keep on coming. Take care of yourself, take care of your students. Now the exam time, it is also a game time. Enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, both of
Thank you.
you. I really enjoyed my session, and thank you all the participants, parents, teachers, students, if any. And it was a very, very heartening session, and I enjoyed speaking to all of you and answering all of your questions. Happy weekend
Thank
and
you.
happy exam time.
Ma'am. Yeah. Thank you.
Dharam, you can.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.